And then if you can meet that number in passive real estate income, you're financially free. Okay, so I'm going on my daily walk here, and while I'm on it, I want to go over the few steps I took to pick up this rental property here, how I'm going to be using those steps again to buy the next one. And my goal for 2022 is to pick up 5 more, which is only 2 months away. And I'm going to be using these steps that I'm going to lay out here as simple as possible for you. So, assuming you're coming from a place of not owning property, maybe you own where you live, but you don't own rental property. The very first step, which is what took away probably 90% of the intimidation and fear, was talking to a lender. Talking to a lender really made things real for me because it allowed me to know my numbers. It allowed me to know how much I needed in my bank, how much I needed to go down on certain properties, and how much my monthly expenses would be in total, assuming principal, interest, taxes, insurance, HOA. And when you understand the numbers, fear starts to disappear because you have a foundation to fall back on. So for example, when I ran the numbers on this property here, where I am now, I knew that my full out monthly expenses were going to be somewhere in the range of $1,400 to $1,600 a month. Okay. Now that did 2 things for me. One, it showed me how much I was at risk for, which was that $1,400 to $1,600 a month payment every single month, no matter what happens during the life of the loan. The second thing that happened was, now it set the benchmark of how much higher I'd be able to rent the place out for, to essentially profit, to cash flow, and to cover that monthly expense. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the content. I just want to take this brief moment to interrupt the video to remind you to smash the like button and hit subscribe. It helps the algorithm, it helps me, and I'll appreciate you for doing it. It'll feel good, trust me. Which brings us to step 2 and how we go back to step 1. So step 2 is to start looking for property, and don't be secretive about it. Let everyone in your circles know that you're looking for a property. And the reason for that is, it may not be you who finds it. So for example, for me, this property was found for me by another agent before it was even listed. And it got me excited. But how did he know that I was looking for a rental property? Because I was telling everybody I was looking for a rental property, just like I continue to do now. I tell everyone I'm looking for a rental property because who knows when one will pop up in their world before the rest of the world knows it, and they'll come to me. So this popped up. He let me know the details as far as what the owner was looking for before it was listed. And I sent the information to my lender. He spit back at me my monthly cost on what this will cost me out of pocket. Okay, next, which is step 3, is do your homework and see what the potential rent value is in that particular area for that size property in that condition. So when I was running the numbers, competitive rent was falling right around $2,100, $2,200 a month. So I said to myself, okay, let me put these numbers together. If it cost me potentially $1,500, which it is now, and I was making $2,200 a month, I'm going to cash flow $700 a month. And even though the market's hot, in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, okay, so I'm making $700 a month cash flow and the market's great. Yes, there's a fear of market slowing down. What happens then? And then I thought to myself, even in the worst case scenario, economy fails, things fall apart, right? What happens is, did I think that I could potentially rent this place out for, at minimum, what it's costing me? And I said yes. Looking at previous stats online, I said, hell yeah. Can I rent out this single family, 2-bedroom, 2-bath home for $700 less than the current market value in this hot market and break even at $1,500 if shit hits the fan? I said, absolutely. So the fear wasn't there for me anymore as far as risk goes. So what did I do next? The next thing I did was I put an offer on the property. The reason why I put an offer on the property instantly is because you want to gain control of being in the position of making a decision whether you want to purchase it or not. Now, making an offer on a property here in South Florida is a whole subject on its own. But in a nutshell, you have 10 days to decide if you want the property or not. So you have 10 full days to do your due diligence, to do your walkthrough, your extra homework, your extra crunching of the numbers. You have 10 days to decide if you want to go through with it or not. So I threw the offer out there just to get it accepted as soon as possible. Then I'll do my negotiating, and then I'll do my homework and things like that, because I have a 10-day grace period that basically blocks everyone else out from being able to purchase the property. So that's what I did. I went under contract for $260, and at the end of the day, I walked away at $250, $10,000 less. But if I asked for that $10,000 discount before being accepted, they would have laughed at me, because there was a line of people ready to buy it as is. But once you're in bed with them and you're signed and you're accepted, it's a lot easier to ask for those things. So then I went under contract. The next step was, during the inspection period, I had to figure out how much it was going to cost me to bring this place up into rental shape. And that number was right around $8,000 to $12,000. It wound up costing us $10,000. So all in, you had your down payment plus the cost of fixing. That's how much cash we're out of pocket. So altogether for me, since I own a home, I didn't do 3% down. I did 25% down because I could. I was all in at $70K, plus or minus. We actually got it rented out now for $2,400 a month. So we're looking at a 14.5% cash on cash return, which is phenomenal. And now we own this rental property. And now that the tenant is in there, and for examples on signing lease documents and things like that and filling out lease forms, there's some pro tips that you could throw in there. I'll save that for another video, or reach out to me if you need some help with that. But it's very easy. Just to recap, be friends with a lender. That's all. Second step is find properties that fit the criteria of what you're looking for in the area you're looking for, and shoot them over to your lender. They're going to give you the bottom line of what it's going to cost you per month to own this property. After that, see what the rent value is currently, because if it's a certain percentage higher, then it's worth going after. Next, get that place under contract, offer accepted, then do your due diligence as far as going in, checking repairs, things like that, negotiating the whole bit. If it doesn't make sense, you could back out unscathed. If it does make sense, obviously go through with it. Next, find a tenant to go in there, fill it. Don't just do your homework with the tenant too. I have a lot of tips for you as far as choosing the right tenant. Don't just put anybody in there because they could afford it. There's a lot of people who could afford it. You just want to make sure you're choosing the right person. And from there, get the tenant in there and rinse and repeat. It's all about cash flow. So now this property is going to cash flow us $900 a month after expenses. So if you figure that we wrap this place up in all of about 2 months, including negotiating to repairing to filling it with a tenant, and it's going to cash flow $900 a month. Even if it only cash flow $500 a month, if you picked up 2 properties a year, in 5 years you'll have 10 properties. In 5 years you'll be cash flowing $5,000 plus a month, passive income, straight to you, lots of tax benefits where you'll be paying very, very small amounts of taxes. I'm not an accountant. Check with your accountant on that, but there's a lot of tax benefits in this. And how would an extra $5,000 a month feel coming in each and every month, whether you decided to work or not? And the real goal, the end goal in all this is to design your dream life on paper as far as what it would cost you per month to have the nice car, the nice houses, cars, the vacations. Figure out what it would cost you per year. Divide that by 12 so you get your monthly breakdown. And then if you can meet that number in passive real estate income, you're financially free. You could retire and you're good to go. So I hope this helped, and if you have any questions, as always, feel free to reach out.